Morning. Good morning. Thank you all for coming out to be a part of your county government this morning. We're going to ask Supervisor Little if she'll lead us in prayer, please.
Let's bow our heads. Dear Lord, thank you so very much for all the things that you've given us and all the things that you've done for us, Lord. Please guide and direction our work, deeds, and actions today as we carry out the county business and we go about our lives today. Please watch over all of us, especially our families, Lord. Give us discernment. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Supervisor. First thing on the agenda this morning is the approval of our February board minutes. Move approval.
Second.
It's been moved by Supervisor Carver and second by Supervisor Trainer that we approve our February minutes. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. The next thing we've got is a citizens comment period. Any citizen can come and speak to the board for up to 3 minutes. Good morning, Mr. Thomas.
Good morning.
Good morning to everyone. We just have a few concerns. A lot of when the old heads die out, the children, they need some kind of guidance on how to keep the land and not let the land get away from them. When the old head die, the kids or whatever be kind of out of law. They don't know what to do or who to contact. Club Rock is scaring everyone with the shooting that happened in West Point, but the citizens is afraid that it's a breeding ground for drugs and death. And they would that could be looked at that with this open weapon, open carry law, people feel that they gun smoke.
Thank you, Mr. Turner.
Motion for acknowledgement of Mr. Turner's presentation.
It's been moved by Supervisor Williams and second by Supervisor Little to acknowledge Mr. Turner's presentation. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. Do we have anybody else that would like to speak? Ms. Benson.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
Phyllis Benson, representing Golden Triangle Planning and Development District. Past few board meetings, I've mentioned a change order for your North Star Site Development Grant. Remember, you received an ARC grant and a Mississippi Site Development Grant, so that it is a project that is being funded 100% by grant funds. You had the good fortune of the contractor being able to find fill material from the site. We now have the final change order for this particular endeavor, and it will reduce your contract by $75,418.50. So not only does that need your approval, it needs the blessing of the Mississippi Development Authority. So I have prepared a letter, and with your approval, I'll pass these down for your signature, and then I'll get them later.
Motion to approve the change order.
Motion for approval.
Been moved by Supervisor Williams, second by Supervisor Carver to approve change order. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously.
Okay. Anything else for me?
Thanks for all you do. I know
Thank you.
it's always good to see you come before the board.
Have you found some project yet?
I have not, but the clock is ticking. So if you have anything, then just pick up the phone and call me, and we'll get together. Okay? Would you like for me to stay or just do that later at your convenience?
I'll do it later.
Okay. All right. Well, if there are no other questions for me, I will, as my daddy would have said, turn my hat around.
Thank you, Ms. Phillips. Do we have anybody else that would like to?
Mr. President, is it okay for Edward Kemp to do this?
Oh, absolutely.
Presentation?
Absolutely. Mr. Kemp.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank y'all for letting me come and speak with you guys just for a few minutes. Today I wanted to talk to you a little bit about wastewater. I know that's everybody's favorite topic right now, but just wanted to kind of come bring to you guys something to consider and ponder You know, the wastewater treatment plant that the city operates was built in 1979. That plant serves the city, it serves the university, and also serves parts of Octagon County areas outside the city limits. As y'all all know, our area and our region is growing at a very dramatic pace, which is a wonderful thing. But it's also putting in a lot of stresses on our utility systems, and our wastewater treatment plant being one of them. We are undergoing a comprehensive evaluation study right now of that treatment facility to not only determine where we are right now, but also project ourselves out for the next 20 to 40 years for growth. And we want to position ourselves in a good place that we're not being a limiting factor from a capacity standpoint. So what we're finding, and that report will be finalized at the end of this month, but what we're finding is that there are operational and capacity challenges at that plant. As y'all know, that plant is the only one in the county. It serves, like I said, a very large swath of our population. And I would just like to bring to you guys a consideration of, as you're contemplating how to utilize that ARPA funding to the best extent, to at least consider participating in being a part of improving the wastewater treatment plant. That will also allow the city and the county and the university to continue to expand. Just to give you guys a heads up, and I'm sure you guys are aware of this, right now, currently I'm talking to 7 different developers, seven different folks who want sewer access. 6 of the 7 are outside the city limits of Starkville. And we are right now at a point where we're saying we're going to take a pause. We're kind of see where we are. We need this study to come back. So the growth and the capacity limitations of our plant don't just necessarily affect the city or the university. It affects all of us. And so I just bring that to you guys today for consideration as you contemplate how to best utilize those funds. The city is obligated a portion of their ARPA funds to go toward the wastewater treatment plant, which, as y'all know, is an eligible activity which will allow a state match. So I just wanted to bring that to you guys. I'm happy to answer any questions that you have. I'm also happy when that report is finalized to bring it back for a presentation of its findings as well.
I do have a question. I was going to ask, like, if we even consider, part of the ARPA funds, how long would it be before the projects out in the county that we would have a, okay on getting them started or anything?
Right. I think that the question to that is really dependent on what resulting from that overall study, and we'll know that by the end of this month. From a timing standpoint, the ARPA funding has to be obligated by August the 16th of this year. Obligating means that it has to have the plans designed, you have to have bids back, and you have to be under contract for that funding. So from a construction standpoint timeline, that's very aggressive, very short. So if there is decided to move forward in some capacity to participate together on that, we would need to know pretty quickly so we could kind of get some plans in place.
I'd say so, being new to the board, the county's sitting on potentially $7 million in ARPA funds. We've got to have all that obligated by August 16th of this year. Has the county made any motions toward what we're going to do with that $7 million so we don't lose it? Or is it? But then the potential 7? Yeah, it's 3.5 for the ARPA, but I'm saying that from a development standpoint, I know time is money, and I've been pressing you on the issue as far as the getting the survey back, capacity survey back as fast as possible. But I mean, I don't know, have time between now and August to draw up some plans. Has the previous board had any thoughts to what they're going to do with that $3.5 million between now and August?
If we're talking about the $3.5 million for the sewer project, we had obligated it to the sewer project. We've had a few hiccups come along. That is an aggressive time frame. Do you think you can get it done by August?
Yes, sir, we can. We have projects identified that we've actually already started, knowing that they're going to be From our standpoint, we are aware of these issues, so we're going ahead and starting the plan and development of those. Feel like we can meet all this time.
At this point, I mean, the $3.5 million is allocated toward the sewer. We hadn't did any reversal, so.
So everything's waiting
It's
on.
up to the board, yeah.
Everything. I was gonna ask you something from a capacity standpoint, you have 20 to 40 year plan. Do you envision it always being at that same treatment facility, or would you wanna have two in the county? I mean, is the master plan always to send it all the way back there?
It is currently, just due to the investments there, and we feel like, we can serve with obviously with a lot of investment that occurs at that site, we feel like we can serve the growth, for the next 20 to 40 years at that location.
Have you thought much about, and you don't have to say it today, but have you thought much about how much of a commitment that you're asking the county for? And I know someone mentioned three and a half million. Of course, those are matching dollars. But now, that 3.5 million is for infrastructure out in the county. So if there's no infrastructure in the county, no expansion, why would you need a expansion of the wastewater treatment facility?
Right.
If we don't continue to expand?
I think that's a great question. So I'll two different questions. First of all, the first project that we're working on right now, that we're fast and furious trying to get designed and completed, is an upgrade of our aeration facilities and our oxidation dishes, and a complete overhaul of our electrical system. The electrical system feeds, serves multiple components of the plant. Both of those two different components, and they're very much closely intertwined. It's between a $7.5 and $8.5 million project. Okay, so that's the scope of the types of projects that we're working on right now, and that's the highest need right now. That is not a one project fix everything. And then the second part of your question, I would say, if you don't have the ability and the capacity to serve and to treat the wastewater, I think you have to question about continuing to expand that if you're already short on and limited in capacity. So I would say that really the step one is to build your foundation, to make sure you have the capacity to treat areas outside that you want to grow and expand to, not grow and expand and then figure out how to deal with the wastewater treatment. So.
Mr. Joe actually answered the same question. That was what I was curious about.
Are we, when you talk about sewer treatment plant,
Yes, sir.
is that different from the pumping station that's located out on North Farm?
The pumping station on North Farm is part of the network, either with the East Octagon and Mississippi State. I'm not sure exactly the ownership of that, but all of the wastewater from East as well as Mississippi State and the city, all is pumped and conveyed to the centralized wastewater treatment plant, which is south of town. So it is all one big network and infrastructure that is feeding into that plant.
What type of commitment will you have to the county and the expansion of infrastructure out in the county? The city like to say that this is our treatment plant, but how do we keep that from happening?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. Not one that I can certainly answer, that our board would need to weigh in on that. But it truly is an asset that serves more than just the city. So the logistics of how that works, I think your attorney and our attorney can work out the details of that.
Assuming that both boards agreed, we would do an MOU between the two of them and get it worked out as far as the details. So that would be I guess the proper. But y'all would have to be in favor of doing something, and the board of aldermen would have to. The attorneys would get together and work out an MOU.
When is final decision? When is the deadline for us to make a decision on whether or not?
I don't know that there's a deadline. I would say as soon as possible. If you do want to pursue this, just to make sure that we could get there's quite a bit of grant paperwork with the state that you have to apply and make sure that the funding is appropriately designated.
Would you think we had April to make this decision?
To the beginning of April?
Right.
Potentially, yeah.
And your study comes back the end of this
End of
month?
March.
Okay, so would you be able to we'd be able to know, you'll come back and talk to us
Sure.
about that?
Well, I'd like to make a motion that the city and the county get together and have a summit to discuss the potential of wastewater installing activity out county.
Been moved by Supervisor Trainer that we have a summit discussion, second by Supervisor Little, all in favor? Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kennedy. Next on the agenda, we have, Ms. Cubon. Good morning.
Good morning. I just have assistant changes
Make a motion, we approve the request.
Motion by Supervisor Trainer, second by Supervisor Carver, all in favor? Question, Supervisor Wilson.
Some of these mobile homes, didn't get certified. And I don't know what's the process of certifying, but that they didn't do it on time or what?
One didn't have,
Yeah.
one of those didn't have. No, but the
Then
whole.
that's what-
Lives in California.
That's, yeah, but this is, there are two in here that didn't get certified, the mobile home didn't get certified.
Tyler Lane, Joe Williams, Lane, Joe Williams. Certified.
Okay,
Your wife's Lane, you're
okay. Are they aware of the fact that they could get certified if they changed those names on both the land and the mobile home?
one of them, the other one, I didn't have a mobile home. They just gave me
Yeah, I just want to know whether or not we're bringing them up to date on how to get certified.
we notified them, they're aware.
Yes, ma'am. Okay. No more questions.
All in favor? Motion passes unanimously. Next on the agenda, we've got Jack Reagan with UHY. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Thank you very much for letting me come down. Again, my name is Jack, J-A-C-K, Regan, R-E-A-G-A-N. I'm with UHY. When I come into a room full of people who don't know me, half of them dislike me because of my last name, especially in a room full of government people. Then I introduce myself as an audit and compliance guy and I lose the rest of the room. So it's kind of a curse. I come by and I'm here to talk to you about grants today. At the request of my friend here. We are, UHY is a large national public accounting firm. We've been doing work around the country for over 50 years. And I lead our government accounting and consulting practice. I come by my love of governmental accounting and auditing. Very honestly, my dad was a career federal guy. My mom was a grant accountant in the county I grew up in. You should have gotten sent to you earlier. I know you've got our letter, sent a presentation out towards the end of last week as well. I'll hit a couple of highlights there. We have been running around the country doing a lot of American Rescue Plan Act, or ARPA, consulting, where we're helping communities as large as Tucson, Arizona, who got $156 million of ARPA funding, and communities as small as Wallingford, Connecticut, that got a little bit over $7 million. So I've got a team of over a dozen grants management specialists that are working with communities on effectively and efficiently administering their grant funds. And it's a very, as you can see on our page with my team, I bring a very diverse team as well. It's been something, especially with the underpinnings of ARPA, that's, I think, critically important to be able to show that we are walking the walk when it talks about the way that these ARPA funds should be administered and spent. We help at all parts of the grants life cycle. One of the things we've been doing in communities is helping to administer programs that the elected officials have, where they've got an amount of money where they're able to do constituent outreach to nonprofits, small businesses, things like that, where we're helping administer those programs, figuring out what you want to achieve with those, designing eligibility requirements around those, helping do community outreach to publicize the availability of these grant programs. One of the critical success factors we found is once folks hear these grant funds are available, they think it's free money. They think they get it and they can do with it what we want, whatever they want. We have to make sure we disabuse them of that notion and that there are very specific eligibility requirements that they will have to follow, and that we as the compliance monitors will be getting documentation of how they spent that money to make sure that those monies were not inappropriately spent. We also work very closely with boards such as yourself to get a monthly reporting cadence going, so you can see here's how much money has been awarded, here's how much money has been spent, do we have any issues with people providing us with documentation so that you can assist in making sure that we are getting all of that information. And then we help with all of the monthly, quarterly, and annual reporting requirements that you may have associated with any of these grant programs that you have out there. I know that I was at a grants conference last week in Washington, D.C. I know you guys are jealous that you weren't there. It was riveting stuff. But the OMB announced a federal program inventory, first ever time where you can go to one single website, put in a search term, and see all of the different grants. So you were talking about wastewater. Here you can type in wastewater, and you can see an inventory of all of the different federal programs, grant programs that are available to be able to try and apply for wastewater funds. That's just, you know, a more recent example. We do a lot of outreach where a lot of these smaller organizations that have been getting grant funds, whether they came through CARES Act, ARPA, or other, maybe the first time that they've ever gotten grants and they're not familiar with the compliance requirements. We work very, very closely. My team is working with uncounted numbers of small nonprofits, small businesses, to help them put together good grant packages to submit to you once you announce the grant program, and then help them make sure that they monitor and comply with all those downstream grant reporting requirements. You know, we'll help you in the planning, you know, to identify the grants. We'll help you in doing grant proposals. Once you get a successful grant, we'll help you in doing the administration and monitoring. And then finally, we'll help you on the reporting and the back end closeout. But it's important for you guys to know, and one of the things that I like doing is telling a good story, which is when you have a grant program, and let's say that you're doing something for like a nonprofit assistance program in the county, is be able to gather up some stories about how that grant is positively impacting the lives of the citizens, and being able to demonstrate to your constituents, here is how much of this grant money we've spent, and here's the tangible benefits that it's made in the community. It's also critically important because what I'm hearing from being at this conference last week, and I'm sure you're hearing the same thing as well, is that there's a trend coming now to where to be getting that next round of grant funding, you have to show how well you've used this last round of grant funding. So being able to show those successful accomplishments is very critical. And again, coming back to you as the board is part and parcel of what we will do to assist in all of this. That's my story. You know, would love the opportunity to serve the county and its constituents, and I'll answer any questions you guys may have.
Yeah, I have a question.
Sure.
Do you find that most of your grants are 100% funded? Are you looking at something like a 60-40% fund in most of the grants that you acquire?
That really depends. You know, we are seeing a lot more instances where if you're applying for the grant, you have to show, I call it braided funding, so you may take some of your federal money to amplify some state money, which is what I understand the wastewater project that was just described there. So you get this braided funding effect that allows you to leverage a lot more when that's on the grantee side. On the grantor side, where you're awarding some money to somebody, like we designed a program in a city in the Northeast that provided businesses with up to $10,000 of assistance to improve their facades, the facades of their businesses. But they had to show up with $5,000 to get that $10,000. So we've seen as well, and I've got other communities where it's just been a straight, say, $10,000 grant that the business gets, and they don't need to make a match. So it really is in how you want to design the program on the grantor side, but on the grantee side, it's certainly the trend is to use some of that federal funding to match state and other funding.
Well, I see y'all, or y'all talked, I guess y'all met at a conference.
And Echo.
Yeah.
You know, I would say that's one thing, or two things. I guess proposals for about $87,000 annual.
Mm-hmm.
You know, what is the return on investment? I know you can't say what is expected return on investment, but you know, if you land one $5 million grant, it's worth it. What, you know, how do you prove it to me and the board that, you know, it's a success rate, and what we would get on an ROI on y'all's company?
So I'd say a couple of things there. First off, there is increased complexity in the compliance costs that are associated with any of these new grants that are coming down the pike. So it's very hard to measure making sure that you're complying. Well, it's very hard to measure the return on compliance. It's easier to make sure that you don't have newspaper articles written that somebody took a $10,000 grant that you awarded them and went to the casino, and there's no tangible benefit for you know, that downtown facade program or that we're out there. So part of the return on this is making sure that all the federal eyeballs and the state eyeballs and the media eyeballs that are on this very large award of federal fee, helping you to identify those new sources of grants that are out there, and being able to go through your budget, which is very tight, and be able to say, here are other costs that are already in your budget that you're spending local dollars for that could be spent and reimbursed by a federal grant, and being able to shift those costs out so that you have more local dollars to spend. You know, part of what we do in our analysis is making sure you're spending your most restricted dollars first, so that the unrestricted dollars, you have the most flexibility to be able to spend.
Not duplicating efforts. You're just saying you're going through our financials and seeing ways we could have gotten that for free and this for free, or through a grant process?
Some of that, as we begin to get in and analyze what grants you have, how you're administering them, and what reimbursements you're claiming or not claiming on them. Yeah, that's part of what we do.
Is ARPA money tapering off? Is it toward the tail end of ARPA?
So I heard the discussion earlier, and that's why I sort of jumped out, because I heard an August deadline out there, and what I want to make clear is that for ARPA, the deadline for obligating ARPA funds that the county has received is December 31st of 24. Those funds have to be totally expended by December 31st of 26. The issue becomes, if you have an obligation at December 31st, 24, and you move into 25 and 26, if that project or that obligation doesn't get done, you know, so let's say you're obligating for a project, you'll lose that money because there is no ability, once December 31st, 24 passes, to reprogram any of those ARPA obligations to another project in 25 or 26. So what I've counseled my boards on as we've been going through this is we have been watching like a hawk those projects. Let's say that there's a project that's got and I'll just do the math easy, say it's a $120,000 obligation that they're supposed to spend as of December 31st, 2024. And they've only spent 20,000 of that as of now. We're starting to get after them and say, are you really going to be able to spend this last 100,000 before the end of December of 24, so that if they're not able to demonstrate that, we can reprogram the money before 12/31/24 to a project that we know is going to have a demonstrated track record of being able to spend it in 25.
Is that something that the county gets? If we don't spend that money, we get a red flag of sorts? Is that for the next grant application process?
Not necessarily, but you also don't want to be stroking a check back to the Treasury for any money that you've received, because the money is sitting in the bank. You know, the ARPA money that's been unspent is still sitting in the bank. Yeah, it should be gathering some interest on it. Come December 31/24, if you haven't obligated those funds, there's going to be, I think, a 30-day window or 60-day window after December 31st for any of those unobligated funds that are going to have to go back to the feds.
That's just dealing with art. But there's,
Right.
there's so many other
Opportunities out there to do this. And that's where that federal program inventory is.
That's with art. That's just a drop in the bucket with all these other opportunities.
That's what I was gonna ask, what's the next big funding push? And I said this last meeting, I said, we think the board needs to look into grant writing. I was a city
Yeah.
alderman, I know from a grant writing side, the return on investment is there. If
Yeah.
you look back in 5 years and it's a success story and everybody's happy. But what is the next?
So there are two things. There's the Inflation Reduction Act that's out there, which is the green energy money, which I would think having the state university here with all the research and development that's going on around that there could be some very unique opportunities to partner with the university to go after some of that green energy money. And then there's also the Infrastructure Investment and Job Act, which is sort of the traditional Infrastructure Act, and that has a lot of money that's not associated with green energy and not associated actually with water, sewer, wastewater. Because the water, sewer, wastewater is covered by American Rescue Plan Act. I think the Infrastructure Investment Jobs Act is more the traditional roads, bridges, that sort of stuff that's out there. Because so much money from CARES Act and then subsequently ARPA flooded the zone, not a lot of the green energy and not a lot of the infrastructure money has gotten going yet. And there's literally hundreds of billions of dollars in both of those. That's just waiting to begin moving.
And you help us identify.
We can help identify those sort of things, yep.
Can you provide any information about some of your success stories that you've had in the past with acquiring grants for different organizations?
Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, one of them where we've been able to maximize some federal funds and state funds is for a city in the Northeast again, where we were able to leverage and identify some state funds that were out there to pair up with American Rescue Plan Act funds to help rehab low to moderate income housing in the community. And what we were able to do there was get that federal money to match some state money. So we had a large fund to do, it's about $25 million of low to mod income housing rehab. And what we did is actually pretty cool, and I appreciate your asking, is targeted 2 wards in the city, rehab some of that stock, identified historically underutilized businesses, minority-owned contractors that had been shut out of the housing rehab market by larger contractors, that we set aside and had a mentoring program for those entities to come in, apply for these grants to be able to rehab the housing. But a lot of those businesses couldn't afford the working capital to be able to get the project started, and they couldn't go to a bank because they were unbanked to be able to borrow that money. So we created a loan fund, a working capital loan fund that they could go to, borrow the money. So after the rehab got done and the project closed, that closing they were able to repay that loan, then take that history and go to the bank so the next time they could be banked and get that commercial credit. But a lot of those businesses are struggling for workers right now. So we went to the local community college and we worked with them to create a job training program and identified some state money as well as some federal money to create a job training program. We went to some of the social services and some of the public safety to identify 18 to 24-year-old at-risk youth, get them involved in that training program, put them through carpentry, electricians, backhoe operator, and then once they were guaranteed a job with one of these minority firms that was doing the general contracting, then we subsidized the first 60 to 90 days of wages, because why should the general contractor bear the risk of that person's performance in what was likely the very first job that they were ever going to have? We did that, as we were trying to maximize all of these different revenue sources coming in. We think the success story there is probably that the mayor who is retiring is going to likely run for a state or for a U.S. Senate seat coming out of that with this program as one of the linchpins of his election campaign. Now you see why I get excited about grants. I mean, that's some pretty cool stuff, that because you're dealing with a variety of issues there. You're spurring some economic development. You're helping to, by employing otherwise unemployable folks, you're hopefully reducing some crime statistics. You're getting some more investment in the community. I mean, just the multi-layered approach to it's pretty cool for a compliance administration guy like me.
If employed, will you hit the ground running? The reason being is that funds are already being allocated, and I'm almost sure that those grants are not going to be 100% funded.
Yep.
So if we allocate all of our funds to other projects, we won't have the funds to be able to supplement the additional part that's not covered.
Yeah.
So I would think that you would start working right away.
Right away. And
we're
we've
trying to locate some grants right immediately.
Yep, and we've done this at 25 localities around the country, and are able to get up to speed very, very quickly and hit the ground running, not only on helping make sure you're getting new grants, but getting a sense of your compliance policies and procedures around the existing grants as well. Because that's, to me, is as important as identifying the new grants, because increasingly non-compliance with your existing grants is becoming an important indicator of eligibility for future grants. So we want to make sure that there are not going to be any hiccups in these future grants by having non-compliance with the current grants.
Any other questions for Mr. Reagan?
Yeah, this is the yearly amount that you
Yes,
asked
sir.
in the 87.
Yes, sir.
It would not go up, to stay constant.
I think that'll be there for year one. Usually what I do to try and be a good corporate citizen is that, you're making an investment in me, I'm making an investment in you. There's always a learning curve. So in year two, I can do things more effectively and more efficiently. What I normally do is to hold my fees steady for year two, which I consider sort of a gain sharing relationship. I'm not going to hoard all of those efficiencies that I gained from my understanding with you in year two. And then I usually ask for an inflation adjustment that is linked not to general inflation, but to there's an accounting staffing firm called Robert Half that puts out annually an inflation rate just for accounting salaries that I usually peg our future increases to. So I'd hold that rate steady for the second year and then just ask for an inflation link to the Robert Half salary survey in years 3 and thereafter.
And how does that work, where, like, we get the grant and, get the grant money, like they're talking about 2 and 3 and 4 years,
Mhm.
Out. I'm just trying to wrap my head around it, so if we did go with you, we're in for the long haul together.
Oh yeah, I'm not going anywhere. Unless you end up, at some point, and especially, I can see with the university here and the growth that was discussed earlier when you were talking with the gentleman from the treatment facility is, at some point the county will grow large enough where it will want to have some in-house grant resources that will make some sense to weigh off, having more in-house grant resources and balance that once you get to a certain point. We can help you navigate that situation as well.
Certainly seems to be a lot of opportunities out there, and a lot of opportunity to leverage some funding to increase our capacity. So we certainly do thank you for coming and presenting. Is there anything else from the board, from Mr. Regan?
Mr. Regan, his group, if you all remember, a few years back, we had a group that came and presented to us. And I think one of the principals with that group is with Mr. Reagan's group, Mr.
Yeah.
Claire Collins. And so we've been in communication with them going to NACO, and there's just so much opportunity out there. What we're trying to do is make sure we get an opportunity to take advantage of some of these opportunities. And a group like this, I think, could really be a benefit to us. I just want to make a suggestion, we just take the presentation under advisement and maybe have further discussion.
That's good, I like that.
It's been moved by Supervisor Trainer, second by Supervisor Little, that we take the presentation under advisement. All in favor? Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for coming with us.
Appreciate your time.
Next on the agenda, we've got, Mr. David Kenner.
Good morning.
Good morning.
How y'all this morning?
Good morning.
Good.
Just wanted to stop in. Three of you I know are familiar with us. I know we got 2 new board members on here. Congratulations and welcome aboard. Tom Bigby River Valley Water Management District. Thank y'all for allowing me to serve as your representative on that board. Just wanted to come back to y'all and just give you an update, just to kind of refresh you and answer any questions for the new members that may have a question about what we do and what this board, what that organization does. Right now, since y'all came into the district, you've got 13 projects that are on the books. 4 of those have been completed. You've got 5 of them that are waiting on some paperwork from the board. You got about 4 of them that are waiting on Tom Bigby to get their stuff together to bring it to our board for their approval. So about 13 projects in there. That has come to around 47.5 in labor and equipment that the county has gotten from them. So it's paying off. It's starting to pay off. Again, as this matures, as everybody understands what we're doing and what this service brings, I look for those numbers to go up a lot. I really do. I look for those projects to go up, for those numbers to go up. I think some of y'all can attest to the fact that they do good work now.
Oh, absolutely.
I think it's something that's been desperately needed all these years for water flow, to get some of this flooding out of the way, to clean some of these creeks and streams and tributaries out. Don't know if y'all are familiar with what we're talking about. Tom Bigby River Valley Water Management District was established by the legislature back in the early 60s to handle water flow in the Tom Bigby River Basin. There were about 3 or 4 of these set up all over the state for the different watersheds. But what they're responsible for doing is keeping rivers, creeks, and streams open to prevent flooding, to keep getting water back to the river so it can flow south. This organization is funded through millage rates through the counties. There's 13 counties. Octavia County came in 3 years ago as the 13th county. within that, all that is funded by the counties. They get nothing from the legislature. Everything's funded from the Board of Supervisors. What that buys in is that buys in labor and equipment to come in, clean out creeks and streams at no cost other than what millage is put into that and is paid back to them. It can be anything from a few hundred feet to several miles of creeks and streams, getting debris out of them, getting trees, cutting trees, opening the creek up to where it will actually flow. Cleaning out bridges. I think I saw here one of them is a bridge clean out. Stuff gets piled up in the mouth of these bridges. They'll come in, get it out, pile it up, or they'll load the county trucks and let the county haul off. I think it's worked really well. I had the opportunity to be the executive director of this organization for a couple of years in Tupelo, and I saw firsthand in managing them on what they do. And when Octavia County, matter of fact, Supervisor Trainer reached out to us a couple of times, and I had the opportunity to sit down with him and look at it. I wanted, it was something I thought Octavia would really profit here for y'all. So wanted to bring that back to you. Want to just say everything's going well. Just wanted your feedback on how things are going. If everything's going well with y'all, if there's any other projects you have, please reach out. Yes, sir. Sorry.
I'd say, is this predominantly, like I'd imagine, southeastern part of the county? Or?
Actually, it's countywide. I was looking, everything except your district has had at least one project in it.
It all goes in the Ten-Tom?
All of that flows, everything in Octavia County ends up flowing back that way. You've got there's a small section on the west side that flows to the southwest.
And you're saying 47.5 is, what was that number? How much what do we pay annually in? Or?
I don't remember what that number is on the millage.
It's less than it's 1 meal.
1 meal.
Based on the value of the meal.
No, when we went into contract with them.
Oh, that's right. It's a set amount.
Was beforehand, 3 years ago, the county was just taking on all these bridge clean outs and stuff ourselves, and I thought that we were
Not doing it.
They weren't doing it.
You seen this be successful as far as?
Yeah, we should have got it back in the city.
Oh, absolutely.
We should have got it when it first created this group,
Yeah.
and we would have been so much better off.
Yeah, the clean outs they've done have been pretty extensive clean outs. I mean, Sun Creek going that area up there. I mean, it was, and some of these are. I mean, we've done over the years. The ones I've been involved with, you know, they've had, like I said, anything from a small clean out to one up in Clay County with Lion Creek that took us almost 3 months to do, and it was like 4 miles of clean out trying to get water off of property and out of fields and things.
Got a card on you?
I don't. I'm not with, for y'all's information. I mean, I'm your representative on the board. I'm your board representative. Each county has 2 representatives. One's appointed by the governor and one's appointed by the Board of Supervisors. I'm your board appointee. My name's David Kennard, Kennard. My phone number is 601-479-2205.
I texted you. I'm texting you.
Yeah, and I mean, I'll be glad to. I'll get y'all in my phone. Be glad to talk with you. The way it works, we have an executive director. He has people that work under him. We have a project manager named Richard Herring. I think everybody. I mean, the other 3 of y'all have met Richard and know him well. I think. You'll give him a call. He'll be glad to come down, take a look at your project. He will help write the. He will help write the resolution that y'all got to have. We work off of resolutions. It'll just be a board resolution to do this clean out. You'll approve it. It'll come back to us. We'll take it to our board. Anything under $60,000, our executive committee, which I sit on, will approve. Will have the opportunity to approve it. Anything over that goes to the full board, which meets once a quarter.
South Montgomery ditches and stuff, do they fall in that?
Absolutely. Any ditch in this county, including inside the city, if the city has something to clean out, because we've done it in Aberdeen a lot of times, the city will come to the county, to District 1, and they will say, we need this cleaned out. Is the county willing to go forward with that? And they'll the county puts the resolution in because we don't have an agreement with the city. And then we move forward with that. We've done a lot of work inside the municipalities. Columbus, we've done 5 or 6 jobs inside Columbus that I know of in the last 3 or 4 years.
I just said, with the country club area, I know back in the country club estates, just cleaning that one ditch out for a quarter mile solved a whole bunch of problems.
Yeah,
Just,
and
I mean, something that simple, I would thought it would have been a bigger problem.
And what that did, that short section we cleaned out down there helped
That's
that.
right.
But it piled water. I mean, what needs to happen on a lot of this stuff, I mean, plain and simple, since we are late getting into the game of all this clean out, it needs to go to the closest, biggest creek to carry it off, because what it does, it creates walls down through there. That water's gonna get off of that area really quick, then it's gonna pile up somewhere else. But we will continue to, I mean, I think it's gonna be an ongoing process. We'll just continue to make those improvements, get those pieces cleaned out, and we'll move forward. The hard part are the easements. And I think Rob will attest to that. The hard part is getting these easements signed, people being comfortable, not knowing who we are. All these counties in the Northeast that have been in this thing since the start, they know what this group will do. They're comfortable with them coming in. They know they're gonna leave it better than they found it. We don't know that. Our landowners don't know that, so they're very anxious about, they just don't really want to sign these easements and these right of entries that we have. But I can vouch for them. And as soon as we get over that, I think we'll see this project list start to really pick up and still really start to roll.
Biggest problem I found with the easements is that it's old air property and you know,
it's
2 or 3 owners live in other cities and other states, and just trying to run them down to get those signatures, it can be time consuming.
It can, and there was a point that we could jump from side to side of the creek to manage that. And while I was the director, we had an AG's ruling, we can't do that any longer, because the creek meets in, the property line meets in the center of that creek, if there's somebody on both sides. So I have to.
Right away, it's so far out.
Yeah, I have.
I'm saying no, but I mean, I figured you could work 30 feet off the bank or something, you know, but
We will.
used to it.
We do. We have 100 foot. We have our standard is 100 foot right of way that we take down through there. We ask the homeowner to give us that. Normally it's going to be less than that. They'll cut a trail down through. If it's grown up, they'll open up a place. If it's individual blockages like logs and stuff jammed in it, they will find those. Then they will just cut straight into those, pull them out. Now, one thing they do, and it's harder in the city. The county would probably have to have it worked out to have their trucks there to haul it off. They don't haul anything off. In the county, we windrow it, or we'll pile it for the landowner to burn it or do whatever he wants to with it. Most of the time, in a lot of the ag areas, they'll windrow it down the side and it'll end up decaying, because we've gone back, 3 and 4 times to different areas and just found the same windrows. That's one reason we know that it's, that we've been there, is we'll find remnants of all our windrows and things. But it's not that it can't happen. It's a coordination to have trucks there to haul it off, or if the landowner wanted to have trucks there to haul off, they can do that. They work with it. The one thing that we don't use here that I'll just throw out to you is they do bridge work. I think we've talked about that a little bit before. Not your state aid bridges, where they don't. Since all that came out, we don't do any of your state aid work or anything like that. But some of these gravel road bridges, some of these things that you need, culverts. I think I saw a rail yard hat back there. We put in box cars, we put in the tank cars, we put in all that stuff for the different counties. So something for y'all to consider. As long as you're buying the materials, they provide the labor, equipment, expertise, all the welding, all the stuff to do all that with. Tom Digby does that.
I know I've had the opportunity to work with, so with some of the other board members. They're great guys, do great work. They're professionals in operating equipment. When they go into a property owner's property, they don't tear it up and leave it. When they leave, it's an outstanding job. So it's been a great partnership.
Well, I'm glad. I want us to continue. So good. Thank y'all. Appreciate it. Any other questions? Give me a call, please.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Y'all have a good day.
Yes, sir.
Next, we've got Mr. Rodney Lincoln.
Make a motion to acknowledge the report from Mr. David Kennedy.
Moved by Supervisor Trainer, second by Supervisor Williams. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Mr. Lee?
Yeah, good morning, board. I'm the airport director for your airport, the city's airport, and of course, the MSU uses as well. And back in September of 21, there was a new airport contract drawn up between the city, the county, and the university. And before then, the city and county would pay 45% each, and the university would pay 10%. And when this new contract came about, I've got 7 copies here to pass around.
They've already-
Same one we got.
Yeah, same one you got.
Yeah.
Okay, very good. Okay.
They-
It's now, your
This is
portion is
state pay
35%.
We pay 35,
Yes,
and this is state pay 30%.
30, and city pays 30.
Back
So-
cities now 30, counties 35,
Let's get a breakdown.
Yeah, yeah,
and
and,
universities 35, 35.
university's 30, and other two are 35.
Okay.
Okay, so, just to tell you, give you a quick explanation of how well that works out for everyone is, on our 24 airport improvement grant that we're gonna receive this year for clearing and grubbing for the runway extension project, that grant totals $166,000. 9% is FAA funding at $150,000. 5% is MDOT at $8,333,000. And then the local match is also 5% at $8,334, which the county's portion of that is $2,916. So that really pushes it down for your input, for that helping support the airport. So what has happened with this invoice that you have in front of you is we received a notice that we could apply for a terminal building grant, and it's a 5-year program. This is year 3. The first year we didn't apply. The second year we did apply. We did the design, and it was over $300,000 on the design. They had to have a design of the building to have something to approve. Well, they offered us $4.5 million on a $6.7 million project, and we returned that because there was not enough. But we thought that the eligible amount could have been higher, because on our side it was by their rules, and they didn't see it that way, so we sent that back. And this year we were not funded, so there's 2 more years on that grant program that we can possibly be funded for. This is $11,000 2-story building, terminal building at the airport, and what we have now is 1,100 square feet. So
This is 11,100 square feet.
11,000.
11,000 square feet.
That's right. And
Okay.
that's that project there.
Okay.
Mhm.
Did you get
We-
given up the amount that you thought you
We weren't
qualified for?
selected as winning this year. Jackson was selected and Meridian was selected out of the whole United States project right there. So this is the 3rd year, so we weren't selected for that. So what we did, part of this invoice today is the funding that we had to pay the engineering departments to do the design. And so we took it out of our capital cash and we paid everyone. And so that part of that invoice is that $321,000. Part of that's divided up in there. And there's some other grants as well in there on that invoice.
But the design is still good. It's
Oh, the
still-
design is good.
it's
We'll
still
be able to
moving
keep it.
forward.
And it's about 85 to 90% done. And we can, work on it. It's enough to turn in for the 4th year to receive the funding on that. And there's several other projects too. Of course, the runway extension project, which is in 25 and 26, to add an additional 1,000 feet. Then the terminal building project, and then the most recent project is North Mississippi Medical Center came to us and they want to move their airlift helicopter to Ocklawaha County to base it and the disaster response here at the Starport.
Let's repeat that one more time. I know you and I have talked about that. Did y'all, under what we just said was the fact that we can have critical care helicopter services here that are going to put us on the map. And not only that, but have a viable long-term lease. You're going to see a helicopter coming in and out of there. The response times, I know there's a highway few here, but that's a really big deal. I think after I talked to you, did a little research. You've got a big fan base on any time these critical care flight people come in. I think you see a lot of med staff things on the back of vehicles, but that's something seconds count in that business. The fact that we're going to have one out at that airport is a huge deal, and you'll see a big ribbon cutting on those days when it gets there, the big fun part, but I've worked with Mr. Lincoln for many years, and I always say if everything ran as smoothly as the airport here, it'd be a pretty good world, but he does a great, I'll say that just publicly, and I've told you that 5 times, he do a great thing running it and going out and finding grants and things, so I appreciate you.
Thank you. Thank you. To give you a little update on that, MDOT put together $30 million, or they would receive $30 million they could divide any way they wanted to with additional grants for rails, ports, and airports. And so if you divide it evenly, it's 10,000 for airports. That's an additional to other grants that we have coming. So we put together a package for this medical facility. It came up to be $1.3 million to build a facility with living quarters in it, to house the helicopter, to house the emergency response equipment, a parking lot, ramp, everything. And when you get down to the bottom of that 1.3 million, the county's portion would be $51,000. Yeah. It's 90% MDOT, 10% local. And so you take, that's how we get the 35% of that 10 to get the 51,000. So we haven't received that notice yet. We're thinking here in March or April we'll find out if we were awarded that grant and we can get it going. If that happens, I have a south hangar down there. It has a second floor in it. If they want to go ahead and move over here and bring their helicopter and use the second floor as temporary until with the other people that have the flight school there, they want to go ahead and get in Ottawa County if they know this plan is getting, if it's going to be a go. And that's no cost to us up front. It's just income to the airport for them leasing that second floor.
This is a required motion, or is this?
So this
That's an invoice.
that invoice, is higher than what you're normally seeing, but it's catching up on some of the other grants, which is your 35%, and the local, like regular 32% of the, or 32,000 to help support the airport annually.
Have to pay the invoice, yeah. Motion by Supervisor Carver, favor, second by Supervisor Williams. All in favor? Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I do have one question. I was gonna ask, I know like now the tower is not maintenance where we are. If we get that other additional money, grant come in, would that allow for our tower to be maintenance?
That tower was built for Mississippi State University flight test research projects, and in the past years, back in the late 80s, early 90s, Meridian would send a crew up here on football weekends to make it live to help local move traffic in and out for the ball games. And that was working real well, and they were kind of upset with the radios in the tower, so I put together, I've worked there and retired at 34 years in that building. So I put together a new set of radios and got it up and going, then they stopped coming. So I don't know what happened there, but it's for research, and it possibly could have opened it up for that. Columbus Air Force Base is now who you talk to when you take off and land, except for Saturday to start with. You call them and they'll give you clearance to take off.
So you're not in Raspet anymore?
After, no sir.
Okay.
Yeah, I've been with the airport doing this for this is my 20th year.
Okay.
And when I started, we had about 23, 24 aircraft based there. We have 62 now based aircraft, and the newest one is a helicopter from last month, and I have a long T-hanger waiting list of people that want to bring the aircraft to the county, but they don't have buildings to put them in yet, so we have things to do.
Well, with all this going on, is that something we need to, y'all need to look at to get?
Yes, what I would
get it
like to do
maintenance?
is get together with y'all on future grants and future projects and show y'all what it's looking like. And see what y'all think.
Rodney, would they pay for themselves if we build them?
Long term, real long term.
20 years?
But see, if we can build hangars, we can get 50% of the money for everything inside the drip line from MDOT. So we only have to pay 50% of the rest of it. Just to give you an idea, we just built a 65 by 70 corporate hangar for $770,000. Okay. And that's dirt work, slab, building, finish, turnkey.
What kind of jobs does that create?
That one is just to store a jet aircraft, and so they're already here, they're just in a different building. So, the medical people, the medical, facility, if that all hits, they had to put in a grant too, 20 additional jobs that they're,
That's great.
yeah. So, because they're 24/7. So they wanted to know that, but we have a really good, feeling about our grant, going down there with all the check marks.
How much property do you have out there? Keep expanding?
Oh, I have plenty of room.
Okay.
I have plenty of room. We have 66 acres that we lease out to a farmer each year, and so we have plenty to go, keep going south on Airport Road.
But the runway extension too, didn't the city purchase a 52-acre, or didn't they?
We did. It took us 10 years to get that. We bought that from the Millers, and finally got that, I believe, last year. And so that was enough land. We had the land to put the runway on, but there's a runway protection zone that you can't build up in, and so they wanted us, we couldn't lease it, we couldn't rent it, we had to own it, so we had to buy it. So it's been purchased, and the FAA grant paid 90% of that as well too.
A lot of good things happening.
Lots. But thank y'all.
Anything else from Mr. Glenn?
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda, we've got, Mr. Craig from Pickering. Good morning.
Yes, sir. Good morning, board. Good to see you guys. Congratulations, the next couple of, I'm sorry, what?
I said, good to see you.
Oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Congratulations to you guys. I'm Kurt Craig with Pickering. I wanted to introduce our newest Pickering business development person, Brittany Harrington. She's back here. She came along today, and then Jeff Ballweber sends his regards. It's been too long since he's been in Mississippi, so we're trying to get him back maybe by the end of the month. So I think the reason I'm here today, we have an existing strategic initiatives contract with you guys already. It has expired, I think, in February. Our request is that you would consider a no additional cost time extension on that. Our original contract was about $45,000. I think we've spent a little more than 25, and that leaves a little less than 20 on there. We've been working with you guys for a couple of years and certainly appreciate it. You hear the other grant folks talking about all of the opportunities and projects and funding opportunities that are out there. We're along the same lines, but a little bit different. Our emphasis is in federal programs, earmarked directly from Congress. We've gotten some approved and authorized for counties. For Choctaw County, we've got 3 bridges that if they can get approved, they'll have $3 million on that. We've done some projects in Greene County and George County, and pursued a couple of big grants, a RAISE grant with you guys for the extension or widening of Poorhouse Road. That kind of, we did not get selected on that, but then some board members didn't want to continue pursuing that, so that kind of brought that to a screeching halt. But what we would like to do is sit down with you guys over the next couple of weeks. If you extend our contract, sit down, come up with 2 or 3 priority projects that you'd like to pursue, and then figure out a path forward to be able to get some funding for these types of projects. Some of them have cost share that is an important consideration that is part B of an area where we can help you. A lot of times we get a federal earmark and then go to the state and are able to get some state money to make that cost share. But it's a whole process.
Any questions?
Well, I think this is a good investment that we need to continue this relationship. It's certainly been beneficial to the county. I think the best is yet to come, so I'm certainly in favor of us moving forward with it.
Thank you, Mr. Trainer. I appreciate that.
Motion, is that?
I'd like to make a motion that we renew the contract.
Motion by Supervisor Trainer, contract. Second by Supervisor Williams. All in favor? Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, sir.
Look forward to getting with you guys in the next few weeks. As I mentioned, Jeff will be coming to town soon, and he's the real brains behind the operation, so we'll take it from there.
Thanks,
All right.
Thanks so much.
See you guys.
Good to meet you.
Meet y'all.
Okay, next on the agenda, we have major designs. Mr. Ashford and Mr. Andrews, good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
Morning, guys.
Might be here, right? Take a seat.
Oh, no, sir, we're good.
Oh, y'all, okay.
Hopefully it won't take too long. First of all, we just want to come back and kind of give you an update. We have been talking with Archives and History along with Ms. Farmer as well of the county, and they would like to basically try to schedule a meeting within the next couple of weeks to basically come up and look at the Felix Loan Facility, as well as get an estimate for renovation versus what a new building would cost, just to see what's the difference in possibly keeping the building or not keeping the building. And so we're basically coming before you guys just to basically get approval to provide that estimate, a renovation estimate and a new construction estimate, just to give them an idea of how the rehabbing the existing building would impact the cost.
And, I just have one question. This is the new one that we're talking about, we've been talking about that's there. Do we have like a rendering or anything that's been?
Not yet. We hadn't kind of made it to that point yet. We basically did the preliminary facility study a while back and just kind of talked about where it could be and the location. But as far as kind of moving forward, we're not sure yet because we got to get the answer from Archives and History on how to proceed, either keeping the building or not. So that's why we hadn't really tried to invest much time in, rendering, because we don't know just yet what's going to happen.
Well, we can't tell them no.
No,
We have to
we can't
have
tell
them,
them.
we have to have them involved.
Yes.
So I would say move forward with having them to come down and take a look at the building and give us some recommendations.
Yes.
So,
Our board attorney.
To help them out a little bit, the process is that they have to determine in Archives and History of whether or not that it's a viable building. The truth is, they're probably gonna say it's a viable building. I don't think it's a viable building, and we're gonna make the doggone certain they understand that we don't think it's a viable building. But part of the procedure is we've got to jump these hoops. What I'm gonna ask y'all to do is we're moving through this process, I'm gonna try to get a little bit of state funding to help us with some of these expenses. I feel like the state is, let me back up. This is with every building that we tear down. It's not just this building, it's with every building. But we have people in that office that basically their job is to make certain we're not tearing down viable historic buildings. That's where their head and heart is, and I'm not trying to take anything away from that. It's just a reality. What we do, once they come back with their statement that they may think it's a viable building, we have to make an argument back to them as to the expense. That's part of where this study that he's talking about doing will come into. And then we make the argument back to them, and hopefully we get what we want. I feel certain that we will, but I'm gonna try to see if we can figure out a way to get us some kind of funding from the state side of this to help kind of defer some of this cost. This is and we do have some money that we had last year in our fund, but it wasn't necessarily for this. Some of this is a procedure that frankly, I was just unaware of, but this is just part of the process. So I wish that it was a faster process, but dealing with state government or federal government is like dealing with cold molasses. You end up turning it upside down and waiting forever for it to pour.
I think this will come from you, Mr. Ashford, and will come from you as a justification.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess you have a cost analysis.
Yes, sir.
Already in the process.
In the process, yes, sir.
Coming up with a cost analysis for building a new building.
Correct.
Because I think that's the best way to go.
Yes.
In my opinion.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, the motion will be to create an estimate for new construction as opposed to demolition, remodeling the existing. Okay, we've got a motion by Supervisor Williams, second by Supervisor Trainer. All in favor? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you,
So I
sir.
appreciate you all working on it.
You have any idea how long that might take to get those?
Well, we're gonna basically try to have before we meet with them, within the next couple of weeks.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
When did they say
Thank
they
you.
would like to come down and review the building?
I think we got it scheduled, we'll have to get with, Ms. Farmer, what kind
March
of.
12th at 1, I sent an email out.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next on the agenda, we've got, a fire coordinator, Mr. Patrick Warner.
Outside, I'm sorry.
Glad to see our sheriff sitting in the audience.
Yes, sir.
How you doing?
Good morning, good morning.
Good morning.
Real quick, if I could, I got two items. The first item I'd like to get taken care of is a request to attend the training instructors conference this week from the 6th to the 8th of this week. I'd like to attend that.
Make a motion, we approve the request.
Motion by Supervisor Trainer, second by Supervisor Little, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
All right, on the next item I have is I have, 3 young men and women from the East Octavia Hall Volunteer Fire Department. I'd like them to come up at this time. If y'all don't mind, I'd like to read something real quick, a proclamation. This proclamation to honor Samuel Bowen, Kylie LaBelle, and Jack Edwards for their service to Octavia Hall County and the East Octavia Hall Volunteer Fire Department. Resolved by the Octavia Hall County Board of Supervisors, Octavia Hall County, Mississippi, that whereas Samuel Bowen, Kylie LaBelle, and Jack Edwards, members of the East Octavia Hall Volunteer Fire Department, have been faithfully serving the citizens of Octavia Hall County. Whereas, on the date of January 14th, 2024, Samuel, Kylie, and Jack were some of the first arriving emergency responders to 364 West Sand Creek Road, Mississippi, for a male patient fall victim bleeding from the face. Upon arrival, they found a male patient who was in full cardiac arrest. Without hesitation, they started CPR and provided basic life support to the patient, rotating administered compressions between the 3 of them until the arrival of MedStaff. Sam and Kylie rode in the back of the ambulance and continued CPR on the patient until they arrived at the hospital. Their heroic actions saved the patient's life that day. Samuel, Kylie, and Jack's courageous act is an example of what every firefighter should strive to be. Whereas Samuel, Kylie, and Jack have been outstanding examples of citizenship by giving so much of themselves to the community in service and compassion. Proclaimed by the Octavia Hall County Board of Supervisors this the 4th day of March 2024, that Samuel Bowen, Kylie LaBelle, and Jack Edwards be and hereby recognized and honored by the Octavia Hall County Board of Supervisors for their monumental citizenship to our county and commendable services to the Octavia Hall County Fire Service. At this time, I'd like to present each one of them a plaque.
Do you want to do it in front of the seal?
I can. I would like to say something while we're kind of gathering for this. These 3 young men and women, they also are college students at Mississippi State, earning their degree at Mississippi State. And I actually pulled a couple calls here, or calls this morning, because I don't think the people of Octavia Hall County understand how much these young 3 men and women do for the county. And I pulled last year's calls from January 1 to January 1, and they'll be skewed a little bit. Sam didn't start till about halfway through the year, is that right?
September last year.
September. He ran 76 calls last year. Kylie ran 140. Jack ran 157 calls. That's a lot of calls. That's 157 calls. That's almost one every other day. And they're also attending school at Mississippi State. follow that up. I couldn't be more proud of these three young men and women. Hallie, congratulations. Well deserved. Well deserved.
Thank y'all. Thank you so much. Thank you, sir. Thank
We certainly appreciate those two young men and that young lady for the service.
Appreciate those
given to our
veterans.
county.
Those veteran service firefighters. Appreciate them.
Absolutely, thank you all
Thank you,
for
guys.
being there for years and years and years. We certainly do appreciate it. Okay, we've got our Chief Deputy, Mr. Maurice Johnson.
Yes, sir. Good morning, good morning.
Good morning.
Gonna keep it brief.
All right.
I am coming here on behalf of Crime Stoppers, in which you see statute 453917. It allows assessment through justice court to fund Crime Stoppers. We're currently donating 50 cents for each individual who go through justice court and they're fined. I'm asking that the assessment be moved up to $2. That money will be directed to Crime Stoppers. If you are familiar with Crime Stoppers, in a way that individuals can call in, give tips on crimes, warn a person, and receive the tip on, depending on what the crime is. And we're just trying to move it up so we can increase the contribution to Crime Stoppers. There's be no charge to the county. It's all going to be coming from citizens that go through the justice court process and their fines. And the money will be directed to the state, which will send it back to the local Crime Stoppers, which consists of October Hall Lounge, Clay, Knoxville, and Monroe County in the city's area.
Motion for approval on the request.
Motion by Supervisor Williams, second by Supervisor Little, all in favor? Motion passes unanimously. Thank you, sir. Next, we've got our road manager, Mr. Victor Collins.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Few things. We got, I think you should have in the road manager's report. If there's any questions concerning it. If not,
I just make a motion to acknowledge the road manager's report.
Been moved by Supervisor Train, second by Supervisor Little, all in favor? Motion passes unanimously.
okay. We got a few items. We have action for approval of extension on the rental for the skid steer.
Need a motion for, motion by Supervisor Trainer, second by Supervisor Williams, all in favor? Motion carries unanimously.
All right. We have some covered requests for property entrance. The first one is going to be Kennedy Neal, and that's going to be out on, help me out there, Mr. Train.
Pat Station.
Pat Station Road. I didn't write it on there. And I also,
I make a motion, we approve the request for cover and selection for Kennedy Neal at Penn Station.
Motion by Supervisor Trainer, second by Supervisor Little, all in favor? Motion carries unanimously.
also we have a covered request for John P. Montgomery, and that's going to be on Horseshoe Circle.
I believe I know that.
Make a motion, we approve the request. John P. Montgomery.
One of them anyway, huh?
Yeah. Motion by Supervisor Williams, second by Supervisor Little, all in favor? Motion carries unanimously.
Also, we have a covered request for, the address is actually Highway 12, but the covered would actually go on, Houston Thompson Road, which would be 11145 Mississippi Highway 12, Starkville, Mississippi. But it's, like I say, it'll be on Houston Thompson Road.
Motion by Supervisor Carver, second by Supervisor Little. All in favor? Motion carries unanimously.
Also, you should have in your package and spraying quote, and that's going to be for our gravel roads and our paved roads. Now, I'm going to leave this to the board because we've had in the past, we used Pro, and I think for 1 year, and I don't know if any of you all remember, we had a counter disruption with them, and so and the person that's coming in is actually the same company that Greg Walls was working with, Helena Chemical. They also gave us a quote on those. The lowest quote came in from Pro, and I did talk to the gentleman about it. They are using new chemicals, but I'm with the board members that's aware of it, and we'll kind of leave that up to you all to say how you want to do on that.
Well, you know, the board doesn't have to take the cheapest
No,
bid.
no,
We
that's-
can take
yeah.
the cheapest or best bid.
Yeah.
And from me personally, I know Helena has always did an outstanding job. We did have some issues with that first company.
Is it a chemical difference? What do you say, the kill rate's better or something like that?
Well, you want to address that?
What happened was, we went with them one time, and the kill rate wasn't near as good, and we had the grass recuperated a lot quicker. And like I said, different chemicals does different things. At that time, and then we went with Helena the next year. Their chemical did a better job that they chose to use. They did a better job on the kill rate and the hold down that's keeping the grass at bay. Now, like I said, Pro, the gentleman talked to me. They did change a lot of their chemicals, but it's just whether we want to try them or whether we want to keep going the way we basically were.
Well, and I know another issue we were having, they would spray when it was windy, and it would get in, you know, people's yards and
Yeah, we
things
had
like that.
a real bad issue with people calling about spray. Yeah, the spray was floating across the fence into hay fields and crops and gardens and everywhere else. So
Moving forward, we'll accept the Helena.
Well, I just make a comment on that.
Yeah.
I had an opportunity to study the bids, and look like Helena is spraying 16 feet out, and Kempro is only spraying 10 feet out.
yeah,
And Helen is also doing a kill on the limbs out there. Part of this bridge is
on the gravel road, they got to
It's
kill.
8 feet. It's 8 feet high, and I don't think that's in Kemper.
No, it's not.
It's not in that bid.
Yeah.
So there are some differences in that amount of bid. We might not be comparing apples
Thank you
to
for
apples.
thank you for bringing it up.
We've got a motion to go with Helena. Is that a second? Second by Supervisor Little. All in favor? Motion passes unanimously. Motion by Supervisor Carver, second by Supervisor Little.
I have two more cover requests. We can do it now, or is it at the end of the? Mr. Victor, I got one from Mr. Bill Jeffrey, cover request. You said one meeting go out maybe and find some metal culverts. This one was stopped up on both ends. It's 9550 New Light Road, Bill Jeffries.
Okay, you wanna go ahead and do both
Yeah,
of
I'll
them?
give him that. And then the second was 339 Brown Road, and that's something I sent you the other day, but, those are metal.
Motion by Supervisor Carver for those two cover requests, second by Supervisor Trainer. All in favor? Motion carries unanimously.
Who's the second on that?
339.
Supervisor Trainer.
And the address on the first one was 9950.
9550 Minnetonka.
39 Brown.
Who's the,
I'm gonna have to, I'll text you some.
What was the road name on First Street?
9550.
Midline, thank you.
Okay, if we got those done, we got, and I did go down and look at Supervisor Trainer. I know I didn't get back with you. On the parking lot at Headstone, they've got some issues with the parking lot where the truck goes in to drop off supplies. I looked at it, we're gonna need to, if we do accept to do this, we're gonna need to dig out some old concrete, put in some crush and run to try to strengthen the base of it, and I guess later on, if it's any issues, they'll come back. If they want anything else done to it, they'll come back to the board. But this will get them out of where they are. We need to work on a little bit of drainage issues also, probably putting in a small cover to help move the water underneath the road rather than across the top of it.
I'd like to make a motion that we satisfy the request for ICS.
Motion by Supervisor Trainer, second by Supervisor Little, all in favor? Motion carries unanimously.
Okay. I got handouts here. This is, we can get it into results in time to. Get everybody. This is a request to send 2 people to requalify for the spraying. And this is where we do our insect spraying. Well, actually it covers a little bit of all of it. It does cover doing the insect spraying, and it covers if we had to spray herbicides also. It's a $75 cost that we would have to pay, and basically it's not an overnight deal. It's just they go up. I think the time may be from like 9 to 2 or 3 or something like that. But you know, we need to let the board know that if approved, we'll have 2 people traveling to Batesville, I believe.
Make a motion to approve the report.
Been moved by Supervisor Trainer, second by Supervisor Carter, all in favor? Motion passes unanimously.
I think that's all we have on that. We do, and I just we do have a personnel issue. If we want to.
Before you go, look.
Okay. Yes, sir.
Did you check the situation out at 1098 Cedar Road? Road?
Yeah.
That road continued to flood at that location because water's coming down
the
both
hill.
directions, from both directions.
Yeah, and it's stopped up. It's stopped up with leaves in those ditches.
Right.
And the other day when I was down there, they had completely plugged the pipe. It was about 1/3 of the water going through the pipe that could go through. And so what we have in plan, I've been trying to wait on. I've got a tractor that I put with a ditcher to blow those leaves out. We were waiting on strobe lights to come in for it because I wanted to kind of light it up with everything that goes on. I like to try to have all this equipment lit up now so people can see it before they get to it. That's what I'm waiting on to actually start running that tractor. Hopefully those.
Could we possibly pick those leaves up at that location?
Yeah. Now the ones that's in the ditch, we're gonna have to pick those up.
If you just blow them out, they gonna let it rain again.
No, what we're gonna do is we're gonna blow them back over in the wood line along the ditch. Yeah, along the ditch we're gonna blow them. That tractor will blow them, actually throw them back over in the woods.
Okay.
And we'll be able to use it just along where, not around yards, but along wood lines. And where we got a lot of pine straw and stuff is wood lines.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. could you also look at that driveway and that particular residence house at that location?
Mhm.
Cause all that water is coming and eventually end up going by
Yeah.
side his house. Is
Yeah,
what
it does.
So could you look at that?
Well,
and
I
see
did.
If
I
anything
did.
could be done,
I don't know if anything that we could do to change that direction, because the ditch has been there, and that's the lowest point.
That's low.
Without doing some excessive work to move the ditch over, and that's building that location up in order to move it over. So it's a big undertaking, and I don't know if they, we have to look at that real in depth.
Would you take a look at that?
Yeah.
And if anything else, we could stop the erosion of that particular ditch with maybe some type of material.
Yes.
too.
Yeah.
Could you look at that and come and give us an idea of what could be done?
Okay, all right. And yeah, I'll get with them, and, if they're willing to let us cut a new ditch and put the material back in the old one, maybe could help it out. We just have to look at it and see what it would take.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you, I appreciate it.
All right.
Anything else for our road manager before we go ahead?
Being a newly elected official, I'll say Friday, we got about 3.2 inches of rain, and I was very impressed with the guys and getting out. We spent most of the day in Sunset. I didn't realize it flooded that bad. No, cold, I don't know.
It did.
I personally got out and helped them, and, man, those guys,
Yeah,
pouring that
we-
rain, they're working hard, and I just, I think I told you I want to do a breakfast or something one morning. We'll do CPR training, but, man, they did a good job Friday. I know everybody got calls, but I was well pleased. So, thank you.
All right.
Anything else before we make a motion to go into?
Yeah,
We need a motion to go into closed session to determine if we need to go. Motion by Supervisor, Williams, second by Supervisor Carter, to go into closed session. All in favor? While they getting ready,
Should be good.
Okay. We need a motion to go into executive session to discuss 2 lawsuits and 1 personnel issue.
Move approval.
It's been moved by Supervisor Carter, second by Supervisor Little. All in favor? Motion passes unanimously.
I need 2 numbers. I got 1 number.
822.
And 822. 991 and 822.
991-822, to be eligible for employment after a year.
We got a motion to release those 2 employees to be eligible to be reemployed
Right.
after a year. Second.
Second.
Been moved and second by Supervisor Carver, motion by Supervisor Trainer. All in favor? Motion passes unanimously. Mr. Collins,
Okay.
you need any further assistance, let us know.
All right.
Okay, we're now down to, our Chancery Court Clerk, Ms. Liberty.
I've got one thing is, we did have a CD bid for February, and it went back to Guarantee Bank for $4.5 million.
Need a motion to acknowledge CD. Been moved by Supervisor Little, second by Supervisor Williams. All in favor? Motion carries unanimously.
And that's all I have.
Okay. County Administrator, Ms. Farmer.
Have a budget amendment for the sheriff department in the amount of $265.
Move approval.
Been moved by Supervisor Carver, second by Supervisor Williams. All in favor? Motion carries unanimously.
Budget amendment for the sheriff department in the amount of $867.
Move approval.
Motion by Supervisor Carver, second by Supervisor Trainer. All in favor? Motion carries.
Budget amendment for the sheriff department in the amount of $1,865.
Move approval.
Motion Carver, second Trainer. Motion, all in favor? Motion carries.
We need to acknowledge the appointment of Jeff J. Hosford as child's attorney for youth court.
Move approval.
Carver and Trainer, all in favor? Motion carried.
Need to acknowledge, the setting of salary for court administrator, this for the court.
Okay. Motion by Supervisor Carl, second by Supervisor Little. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Credit card charges for the month in the amount of $5,083.17.
Move approval.
Motion by Supervisor Carl, second Supervisor Little. All in favor? Motion carried.
Have the claim docket number 1779 through 2196 in the amount of $23,671,240.90. That includes the CD bid, which was $18,500,000.
Yeah, explain that again. That includes what now?
The CD bid that Sharon did, we invest into certificate of deposits for 90 days. We cut a check, take it to the bank, and sit there for 90 days. And then we, when it matures, we get the money. So I think it's 18,500,000 of the 23 is the CD bid. The difference is actually bills that we paid.
Move approval.
Motion by Supervisor Carl, second Supervisor Little. All in favor? Motion carried unanimously.
You have on your table, well, Clyde Pritchard came to us the last board meeting, and he was asking for permission to move the Morgantown Road Bridge from the state aid fund to the bridge fund. And I have those documents, that document on your table for approval.
Motion by Supervisor Little, second by Supervisor Carl. All in favor? Motion carries unanimously.
Just some reminders, we're having a financial work session this afternoon at 2 in this building. And also the walkthrough for the old Felix Long building is scheduled for March 19th at 1 p.m. And I sent out an email on it also. That's all I have.
All right. Anything coming from the supervisor? Well, first off, okay, all right. Anything?
Did you clarify the meeting with the trustees? I know that was an email, so
I don't know for certain, nobody, I don't get clarification on this end about the date. I sent out an email.
March
The
12th.
hospital.
March 12th at 5 p.m.
Is that good for everybody?
I won't be there. I won't
Okay.
be there. Cause
See, I
that's
didn't know.
spring break next week. I already have some plans there.
Everyone else will be here? Be at the, you will? So the meeting with the hospital, March 12th at 5 p.m. is at the hospital.
All right.
They're at the hospital, they have a board room over there.
Just go in the main.
Just go there, they're direct.
Repeat that date.
March 12th,
March 12th.
5 p.m. The meeting will be at the hospital.
That's an open meeting with media and all that.
I was trying to see if I could attend virtually, but you know, if I can, that'd be good. If I
You
can't,
have
then
beats in
go.
the background and.
Oh yeah, I'm trying to make it look not inviting. I'm trying to make it look like prison in the background.
Is there anything coming out of District 4? Anything out of District 1?
No, sir.
No sir, no sir.
Anything out of District 5?
The more facilities actually use the parking facilities that we have with the volunteer fire department out by Pleasant Grove Church. They're having some kind of function, so they do want to be able to park the buses at their facility. I would like for the motion for approval for them to be able to park the buses of their facility and have the road department look at it and see whether or not it's feasible to drive buses up on.
Can I ask you a question? You saying that that's the Moore High School?
No, but that's that facility, it's not a high school.
The Hill and Moore, the Hill and Moore.
Oh, okay.
Hill and
That
Moore,
is-
yes.
Is that still a publicly owned building or is that, it's just private?
It's private, they are hosting a science fair. I hope that's not over with, but they're gonna be hosting a science fair, and it's not gonna be the only time. From my understanding, that they're gonna be hosting a science fair. So they wanna be able to bring students in, and take them to Hill and Moore, and then park the buses up upon the facilities by the Pleasant Grove Church, which, we own that facility, volunteer fire department own that facility. So I'd like for our road department to take a look at it and see whether or not it's feasible, for farming. Two parts to that motion.
And just to add to it, to make sure that they're aware that they don't block in case of an emergency, so the engines, can get out. Thank you, Mr. Anderson.
Right, that's
Is that a motion?
Yeah, you got a motion and a second.
Oh, you got a motion and a second, all in favor? Motion carries. Is that it, Supervisor? Okay. I've got a couple things from District 3. One of them is Clearwater contacted me, and they're requesting that we go ahead and identify some projects for them to be trying to work on and get funding for. So they want us to do that sooner rather than later. I don't know how we'll handle that, maybe email your projects and then we prioritize that list. I don't know, but they need it pretty quick.
Yeah, Clearwater, that's the work with Barber and Dean.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So they need us to go ahead and identify some projects for them to work on.
Question to the board, and I know that was the same request that was made by Pickering firm. Are we gonna utilize the same 3 requests on all levels, or we gonna have 6 different requests? Or does it?
Well, we may have 6 different requests from all 5 of us, some of us may have a couple more when we divide them out.
Well, what I'm saying is so if we're going to use the same 3 projects for the state side, then are we gonna take those same 3 and try to get some federal support? Or are you gonna do 6 different projects?
All right, wait a minute, is your group federal and the other group state?
State,
Right.
Clearwater State, Pickering, federal.
But Pickering does do some federal, look for federal funding too, am I right?
Clearwater, Pickering, that's what Pickering does.
But Clearwater, look for federal funding too, so.
Mostly they're looking for getting some good legislation.
Yeah.
I guess supervisor training, it depends on, there might be something that we can't get federal, but we might can get some funding state, and if we, I don't know.
Well, and I guess in my mind, I know we got the building. I know we got the building that's the project. So are we gonna try to get some funding from the building, from the state side and from the federal side? Which I'm not saying that, okay, that'll be both. That's one project right there.
That project.
Okay, so, the next project that's in line is dealing with, I'm gonna say, dealing with the dam project. Now, we know we got funds already set aside for that, and that ball is already in motion. So I don't think that, at this point right now. No, that's, I'm referring to the 13 million, I guess, that we got through NRCS with the water.
Yeah, I'm saying, but that's 2 million, just like the Buck County Lake allocations of.
That's ARPA money.
Okay.
That's ARPA money. That's a whole different discussion right there.
Okay.
It is ARPA money.
You're talking about getting federal funds for the county lake.
Well, I'm just saying, if the watershed project is sufficient for the lake right now, then we don't have to consider the lake for anything on the state side or the local side.
So, so we blocked the 13 million in watershed money.
Right
Is
now-
that what they're doing, that group that came over to the?
Yeah, right now for sure we've got the 2 million. $13 million is all but guaranteed. It's not 100%, but it's, we feel real confident that that money will be in place once this study is out the way. So, but it's not 100%.
So we don't need to ask anybody else or anything else for any money for that?
Well, we have asked the state for funding for the county lake.
Mm-hmm.
So we think we might go back to the federal side for the county lake. I don't know.
Well, this is federal money that's
federal.
that's coming. Yeah.
Seems like we can get more federal money for the county lake than state money. That's state.
Yeah, we haven't been able to be successful getting anything through the state. But now we did enter into, we authorized Mr. McCurcher to explore that grant. I think it's a grant funding.
NRCS?
Yeah.
That's 6535?
6535 grant, just in case. And that was just if something falls through the cracks. But so are you Supervisor Trainer? Are you saying list that as one of them, or?
Well, as I'm saying, the building, we're gonna look at getting some federal funds for it and also get some state funds for it. So
Right.
that's one project.
That's
right there.
one,
So
okay.
you either got 2 more projects or you got 4 more projects.
Okay,
So in other words, if you're gonna use that same approach with 2 more projects, then it's gonna be on the federal side and
on the state
side.
side, right. So what, I guess,
And the lake right now, it would probably be premature to even put that into the equation because
Yeah.
of all the things that's associated with that.
Right.
So we can take that off the table.
right,
So
right.
what would be the,
Wastewater,
okay,
that's it. Life safety, quality of life. Gotta get water fixed, in my opinion.
okay, wastewater.
Yeah, wastewater, one.
And
Go ahead. Go
the
ahead.
other day talking about if you use that and you're gonna learn on the fly, but we're gonna partner in with the city and that.
Well, that's a conversation we got to have. I mean, dealing with wastewater and I guess water resources in general.
Yeah.
So-
Infrastructure maybe.
We're gonna try to go from both angles on that one too.
Yeah, both things.
That's priority number one.
Federal,
So that's number 2.
Federal has some money for wastewater. They just sending it down to the state level, but it's coming.
That's number 2. So we either got 2 more projects, or 1 more.
Water, drinking water consumption for.
That would be included in the wastewater, water, anything
Okay.
water related. I
Okay.
would think that would be included in all that.
All right, and I wanted to ask, cause, although I ask a lot of questions about them, like I know, like Richard is, getting ready to do the ERBR, again for Morgantown Bridge for the 4th year. And, I know that maybe one of those groups might have a little insider influence, on how, to look at it to see, is that something they look at to do, or do they talk to Clyde to find out if he's, use all options necessary, because we're never gonna have enough money to fix that. That one bridge is like $6.5, $7 million.
Yeah.
And it's imperative that get fixed, down there, because it's dug out, they can't get across it. The ambulance have to go 25 minutes, 30 minutes out of the way, the other way. A child almost died if the mama didn't know to call a helicopter, if nobody would have gotten there in time. And I just feel like it was the 4th year,
That could be an ask.
Well,
And you could talk to Rob too about trying to help you get some
Yeah,
funds.
you might wanna go the route of Rob with that one, rather than making that a priority. We've been talking about Crawford Road for a long time.
Well,
What's going on with it?
Well, see, on Crawford Road and even on that, and dealing with the legislature, historically, we've only gotten $1 million from it. And I would say we'll probably get $1 million from it again this year. I'm just, really based upon the trend. And so, and with that won't be enough to complete a bridge. I guess it'll be enough to do maybe some type of other project. But now, on Crawford Road and really any of our road projects that we think about, because Clyde gave us a list the other day that had, I didn't even compile it, but I know it had several items on it throughout the entire county. And if those are the priorities for the board, then what we need to do is try to figure out how we can kind of, eat that elephant one bite at a time. And it'll be a combination of things. But now, dealing with the group that we brought in here today, what I would envision if we decide to employ them for whatever, is to allow them to get together and identify this money that's either in the raise grant, Infrastructure Reduction Act money out there on the federal side, and maybe look at doing a project with Crawford Road and also a possible bridge project. And then with these infrastructures, if we really want to deal with it, is just find out how much it's gonna cost to fix that bridge and just borrow the money for a long term and go ahead and get it done. Because the bridge asset is gonna be there, it's gonna have a 50-year life expectancy. So if that bridge is a priority for the county, then that may be something we make and leverage with a bond long term, to fix that bridge.
But if we did a bond, but what if we got federal money, would that money go to pay that bond back?
Well, if the federal money would go to, but see now trying to get all these work together at the same time is gonna be kind of a little difficult, because of the way everything operates in the process. But the federal process is competitive. But when you're spending your own money, it's based upon your wherewithal. So it would probably be faster than, the other route if we were gonna get a bond to do it long term. Along with what other things we need to do. But that could be something that you could actually separate out, and you could put it, out there by itself if it was, part of the county. And all that stuff, I guess you could do it. There's just so many different ways that you could marry stuff together. But I just wanted to find out, I know we got 2 projects, and maybe on these others, we just kinda give it some thought, we don't have to make a decision today. But we do need to kinda have some direction, we need to be together.
Let's think about the third.
Yeah, we just need to be together.
Okay. Last thing, I was asked to check into, possibly having furnishing insurance for our military benefits officer over there. Somebody told me to look into that. She does an outstanding job of getting benefits for our veterans here in Ottawa County. They just asked if the board would look into it and do some research on it.
Is she not a full benefits employee?
Mm-hmm.
She just pay her a set salary and no benefit?
She's part-time.
Now, according to our policy, they have to work how many hours?
She's part-time.
Cause I know we had this conversation one time before, and that was involving, what over the elected official, she's not an elected official, so that's different.
Yeah.
20 hours.
She
you
still
got
has to
to
work
provide
full-time
benefits.
hours to be on insurance.
She still working with her now.
She has to be full-time.
Okay.
Probably like 20 hours. And
The only way elected officials qualify, you're not full-time, but you're an elected official, so you qualify, but as a regular employee, you have to work full-time hours to be on insurance.
all or nothing.
But do we need a full-time VSO?
I mean, she come and do a quarterly report, so she hadn't indicated she's overwhelmed.
Now, I have had some people ask me about, the hours.
Yeah.
So if someone was here from whatever, I'm assuming counted hours are 8 to 5. That's what everybody, you all's office is working from 8 to 5, I'm assuming, right? And so that would make her more accessible, to the public, but at the same time, it's only one person.
Yeah, I think she's the lady that I got a letter about from one of my constituents that said that she was, like in a cubicle, kinda in the open, sharing an office, is that right?
No.
No, her office is, it's right here.
No, it's
Oh,
over,
she
over there,
moved.
Casey.
That's right.
Where she, but does she have her, like where,
She has private.
where it is private?
Yeah, private, I guess office space is maybe a little large. But it's easy to access in here, because you don't have to go upstairs. It's right on the front of the building.
I'm like supervisor trainer, I've had some people, ask me about, her hours, cause they come up, cause she only works, I don't really know what her hours are, to be honest. But, that might be something worth looking into. We probably need to get her in and let her talk to us and see, what's her thoughts on it.
Yeah, she was here prior to y'all getting here, because I got handed her some stuff for her.
Oh, okay.
But she's, we just have to look at it and just say, I know our county is growing, and we definitely want to make these services and everything known to our veterans. There's a lot of stuff out there for veterans too, a lot of stuff.
Yeah. I don't think that person might not want to be a full-time employee. And I would like to look at the possibility of having 2 part-time employees. I'm a veteran myself. So I want to look at information coming from 2 different sources, not just one particular person. When I go in the office, I want to hear what our present employee says, but I might want to come back later that evening and see what the next person says, so I know I'm getting good sound advice. So I'd like to look at the possibility of having 2 part-time employees. That's
Somebody called me last week and I didn't know that. I mean, I knew I got a card that they bought. That's a great service.
Oh man,
I need to learn more about the program.
I'd like for us to at least get her in and let her talk to her.
It ain't 8 o'clock yet, we can stay here a little longer.
Yeah, that's what. Y'all keep my wife in your thoughts and prayers. They just text said her aunt passed away, so. She is. So, keep her in prayers. If nothing else, I guess, motion to adjourn, recess until 2 o'clock.
Motion.
Supervisor Williams, Supervisor Carter. All in favor? Motion passes unanimously.
Can we leave this here? Will this door get locked when we walk out, or?
Mm-hmm.
That's not, it's 12:30.
Yeah.